I went to Thailand with my boys for what was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime. One wild night in Bangkok, I hooked up with someone who completely blew my mind. But when I found out the truth the next morning, everything changed. Now I am back home with my girlfriend, and this secret is eating me alive. Do I tell her what happened? Do I keep it buried forever? And honestly, why can't I stop thinking about that night? Chapter 1. My name's Jake. I am 26, and I've been with my girlfriend Emma for 3 years. She is great, honestly, pretty, smart, works in marketing, laughs at my dumb jokes. We've got a good thing going. We've even started talking about moving in together, maybe getting engaged next year. Everything was on track. You know, the kind of life everyone's supposed to want. Then my best mate Chris decided to plan this massive lads trip to Thailand for his 30th birthday. 5 of us total. Me, Chris, his brother Dan, and our mates Marcus and Tom. 2 weeks in Bangkok and Phuket, living it up. Clubbing, beaches, street food, the whole deal. Emma wasn't thrilled about it, but she understood. It is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, right bros before? Well, you know, we landed in Bangkok on a Friday night, jet-lagged as hell but buzzing with energy. The city hit us like a wall of heat, noise and neon lights. Within an hour of dropping our bags at the hotel, we were out on Khao San Road, beers in hand, soaking it all in. Thailand is insane. The energy, the chaos, the fact that you can get a full meal for like £2. It felt like a different planet. The first few days were exactly what you'd expect. We hit up temples during the day, pretending to be cultured. Then absolutely destroyed ourselves at night. Buckets of alcohol that probably violated several health codes. Ping pong shows that I am pretty sure I hallucinated. Street pad Thai at 3 in the morning that tasted like heaven. It was perfect. Mindless, exactly what I needed after months of Emma dropping hints about meeting wedding vendors. By day 4, we'd settled into a routine. Sleep until noon, late lunch, pool time, then out until dawn. Chris kept saying this was his last hurrah before real adulthood kicked in, whatever the hell that means. We were all buying into it, living like we were 20 again, like responsibilities didn't exist. That is when we met May. We were at this upscale rooftop bar in Sukhumvit, the kind of place where drinks cost actual money and everyone's dressed nice. Way different from the backpacker spots we'd been hitting. Dan had insisted we go somewhere classy for once, and honestly, it was a nice change. The view over Bangkok was incredible. All those lights stretching forever. May was at the bar when I went to order our next round. Stunning, and I mean absolutely gorgeous. Long, dark hair, killer smile, wearing this tight red dress that left nothing to the imagination. She caught me staring and just smiled, completely confident. We started talking. She was funny. Spoke perfect English with this sexy accent, worked in fashion or modelling or something. I was a bit drunk, so honestly, I wasn't paying that much attention to the specifics. She kept touching my arm when she laughed, leaning in close. I'm not gonna lie, I was eating it up. Emma and I have been together long enough that the spark isn't quite what it used to be. You know, this felt exciting, dangerous. I knew I shouldn't be flirting this hard, but I also wasn't doing anything, right? Just talking. The boys noticed, obviously. They were giving me shit from across the bar, making gestures, egging me on. Chris came over at one point and whispered, "What happens in Bangkok stays in Bangkok, mate." I laughed it off, but something in my brain filed that away. May suggested we go to another club she knew, somewhere more fun. I should have said no. I should have gone back to the boys, back to the hotel, called Emma like I'd promised her I would every night, but I didn't. I said yes. The club was wild, all bass and strobe lights and beautiful people. May knew everyone, or at least it seemed that way. We danced, we drank, we got closer. Her body pressed against mine, her lips near my ear, telling me how sexy I was, how she loved English boys. My brain was screaming that this was wrong, but my body had other ideas. Around 2 a.m, she suggested we go back to her place. Just for one drink, she said. Yeah, right. I knew what that meant. I hesitated for maybe 5 seconds. Thought about Emma sleeping back in London, probably dreaming about our future together. Then I thought about Chris's words. What happens in Bangkok? I texted the group chat that I was heading out, got a bunch of eggplant emojis, and get it mate responses, and followed May out into the humid Bangkok night. Chapter 2. Her apartment was nice, way nicer than I expected. High floor, modern, huge windows overlooking the city. She poured us drinks, some Thai whiskey I'd never heard of. We sat on her couch, and within minutes we were kissing. She tasted like coconut and whatever fruity cocktail she'd been drinking. Her hands were everywhere, confident, knowing exactly what she was doing. I'd like to say I thought about Emma in that moment, that my conscience kicked in and I stopped it. But I didn't. I wanted this. 3 years of the same routine, the same positions, the same person. This was different, exciting, wrong in all the right ways. We ended up in her bedroom. I am not going to give you all the details because I am not a complete asshole. But it was intense, really intense, different from anything with Emma, more adventurous, more passionate. May was confident in a way that was almost intimidating. She knew what she wanted and wasn't shy about it. We went at it for what felt like hours. Afterwards, we lay there in the dark, both of us sweating, catching our breath. She got up to use the bathroom, and I just stared at the ceiling, my brain slowly coming back online. The guilt hit me like a train. What the fuck had I just done? 3 years with Emma, 3 years of building something real, and I'd just thrown it away for one night with a stranger in Bangkok. I must have passed out, because the next thing I knew, sunlight was streaming through the windows and my head was pounding. Hangover from hell. I rolled over and May was still asleep next to me, her back to me. That is when my brain really started working. I needed to get out. I needed to get back to the hotel, shower, pretend this never happened. The boys would ask questions, but I could handle that. Emma never had to know. It was one stupid mistake. One night, I could live with that guilt. I started gathering my clothes as quietly as possible. Jeans, shirt, where the fuck were my socks? I was hopping around trying to put my shoes on when May stirred and rolled over. "Good morning," she said, her voice sleepy and husky. Then she stretched and the sheet fell away. That is when I saw it, in the bright morning light, without the alcohol and dim club, lighting and lust clouding my vision. I saw what I hadn't noticed before. Or maybe I had noticed, subconsciously, and just chose to ignore it. The slightly broader shoulders, the Adam's apple, the telltale signs that May wasn't exactly what I'd assumed. My brain short-circuited. I just stood there, one shoe on, frozen like a complete idiot. May noticed my expression and sat up, suddenly looking worried. "Is everything okay?" "You are." I couldn't even finish the sentence. My mouth had gone completely dry. She pulled the sheet up, looking genuinely concerned now. "You didn't know." Her voice was softer, more vulnerable. "I thought you knew. At the bar, the way you were looking at me, I assumed you understood." I didn't know what to say. I literally had no words. My brain was trying to process what this meant, what I'd just done, who I'd just been with. I wasn't gay. I'd never been attracted to men. I had a girlfriend. This wasn't me. But I'd been attracted to May, extremely attracted, and I'd enjoyed last night, really enjoyed it. "I need to go," I finally managed, shoving my other shoe on. "I am sorry, I just need to go." "Wait," May called out, but I was already heading for the door, grabbing my phone and wallet off her counter. I practically ran out of her apartment down the stairs because I couldn't wait for the elevator, out onto the Bangkok streets. I walked for blocks in the morning heat, my mind absolutely racing. What the fuck had just happened? I cheated on Emma with a trans woman. Did that make me gay? Did labels even matter when I'd just blown up my entire life? The rational part of my brain tried to kick in. May was beautiful. She looked like a woman, moved like a woman, was more feminine than half the girls I dated. Was it really that different? But then the other part of my brain, the part raised in a small town by a conservative dad who definitely had opinions about this kind of thing, was freaking the hell out. I made it back to the hotel somehow. The boys were already up, lounging by the pool, nursing hangovers. They saw me walk in and erupted in cheers. "There he is," Chris shouted. "The absolute legend. Tell us everything, mate. Was she as fit as she looked?" I forced a smile, gave them a thumbs up, and said I needed to shower. I locked myself in the bathroom and stared at my reflection in the mirror. I looked the same body, same person, but I felt completely different. Chapter 3. I couldn't tell them. Not right away, at least. How do you explain that you just had the best sex of your life with someone who wasn't what you thought they were? That you hadn't even realised until morning? That you couldn't stop thinking about it? The rest of the trip was torture. The boys kept asking for details, making jokes, reliving their own wild nights. I played along. Gave them just enough to satisfy their curiosity without saying anything real. Every night I thought about going back to that bar, finding May, trying to understand what I was feeling. But I didn't. I got drunk instead, trying to drown out the confusion. Emma called every other day. She'd ask how the trip was going, if I was having fun, if I missed her. I'd lie through my teeth, tell her everything was great, that I loved her, that I couldn't wait to get home. The guilt was crushing, not just about the cheating, but about the fact that I couldn't stop replaying that night in my head, about the fact that part of me wanted to do it again. On our last night in Bangkok, after about 8 beers, I almost told Chris everything. We were sitting on the hotel balcony, just the two of us, and he was going on about how this trip had been exactly what he needed, how he was ready to settle down now, how he felt like he'd gotten it all out of his system. "You feel different?" he asked me, out of nowhere. "Like after your night with that bird, you've been weird since then." I wanted to tell him. I wanted to say that, yeah, I felt completely different, that I didn't know who the hell I was anymore, that I might have just discovered something about myself that I wasn't ready to deal with, but I didn't. I just shrugged and said I was tired, ready to get home. The flight back to London was long. I had hours to sit there and think about what I was going to do. Tell Emma, keep it secret, break up with her without explaining why. Every option seemed terrible. I decided to keep it secret. It was one night, one mistake. It didn't have to define me or ruin what Emma and I had. People cheat all the time and move past it, right? I could do this. I could bury it and move on with my life. Emma picked me up from the airport. She looked beautiful, excited to see me. She'd missed me. She kissed me and asked about the trip and chatted about all the things that had happened while I was gone. I smiled and nodded and felt like the worst person in the world. That first week back was okay. I threw myself into work, into being the perfect boyfriend. I took Emma out for nice dinners, brought her flowers, told her I loved her probably too many times. She noticed, obviously. She asked if everything was all right, if something had happened in Thailand. I told her I just realised how much she meant to me, how lucky I was. She ate it up. But at night, alone in my head, I couldn't stop thinking about May, about how I'd felt that night, about what it meant that I'd been attracted to someone like that. I started doing research online, reading about sexuality, about trans women, about people who'd had similar experiences. It didn't help. If anything, it made me more confused. The sex with Emma felt different now. I tried to be present, tried to enjoy it the way I used to, but my mind would wander. I'd remember May's confidence, the way she'd known exactly what to do. Emma was more reserved, more traditional. It had never bothered me before, but now it felt limiting somehow. 2 weeks after getting back, I ran into Tom at a pub. We got drunk, started reminiscing about Thailand. He brought up my night with that fit bird and laughed about how jealous they'd all been. I laughed along, but inside I was dying. "Can I ask you something?" I said, the alcohol making me brave. "What if I told you that night wasn't exactly what you thought?" He looked confused. "What do you mean? She wasn't actually fit, mate, we all saw her." "No, she was fit. She was just also not exactly a she." Tom's expression went through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, realization, shock, and then this weird mixture of disgust and fascination. "You are joking." "I am not. You shagged a fucking ladyboy." I flinched at the term. It sounded crude, reductive, nothing like the beautiful person I'd spent the night with. Her name was May, and I didn't know until the morning. Tom stared at me for a long moment, then burst out laughing. "Oh mate, that is fucking brilliant. Does Emma know?" "Fuck no, and you can't tell anyone." "I am serious, Tom." He promised he wouldn't, but I could tell he thought it was hilarious. Just a funny story about dumb drunk Jake, who couldn't tell the difference. He didn't get it. He didn't understand that it had fundamentally changed something in me. Chapter 4. A month passed, then 2. I kept waiting for the guilt to fade, for everything to go back to normal. It didn't. If anything, it got worse. I started snapping at Emma over stupid things, picking fights, pulling away emotionally. She noticed. Obviously, she noticed. Obviously, she kept asking what was wrong, if I was unhappy with our relationship, if there was someone else. I'd tell her, which was technically true. There was no one else currently in my life, just the ghost of one night that I couldn't let go of. I started having these fantasies about coming clean. I'd imagine telling Emma everything, having her understand, having her forgive me, or I'd imagine breaking up with her without explaining why, setting her free to find someone who wasn't a lying piece of shit, but I never actually did either. I just kept going through the motions, slowly suffocating under the weight of my secret. Then one Saturday night, Emma suggested we have the talk. You know the one. The where is this relationship going? What has been wrong with you lately? Do you even love me anymore? Talk. We sat on her couch with glasses of wine, and she looked at me with these sad, hopeful eyes. Jake, I love you, but something's changed. Ever since you got back from Thailand, you've been different, distant. If you are not happy, if you want to end things, just tell me. I deserve that much. She was right. She deserved the truth. She deserved someone who could be fully present with her, not someone carrying around this massive secret that was eating him alive. I cheated on you in Thailand, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. One night, it was stupid, and I was drunk, and it didn't mean anything, but it happened. Her face went pale. I watched her process it, watched the hurt bloom in her eyes. With who? Just someone I met at a bar. I am so sorry, Emma. I've been hating myself ever since. She was quiet for a long moment, tears starting to form. Was she prettier than me? Better than me? No, it is not about that. You are amazing. This was about me being an idiot. Did you use protection, shit? I hadn't even thought about that. Yes, I lied. Because I honestly couldn't remember, and she didn't need another thing to worry about. Emma stood up, pacing her living room. I need you to leave. I need time to think about this. I left. What else could I do? I drove home in a daze. Part of me relieved that the secret was finally out. Part of me devastated that I'd hurt her like this. She didn't call for 3 days. When she finally did, her voice was calm, controlled. I've decided I can forgive you. It was one mistake. You were honest with me, and I believe you when you say it didn't mean anything. But we need to rebuild trust. That is going to take time. I should have felt grateful. She was giving me a second chance, more than I deserved. But instead, I felt trapped. Because I told her the truth, but not the whole truth. And the whole truth was that it had meant something. That I couldn't stop thinking about it. That I wasn't sure who I was anymore. We tried to make it work. We really did. Emma was incredible, actually. She set boundaries, asked questions when she needed to, but genuinely tried to move past it. The problem was me. I couldn't move past it. Not because I still felt guilty, but because I'd realised something I couldn't unrealise. I started experimenting in secret. I'd go on dating apps late at night, not to actually meet anyone, just to look, to explore, to try to understand this part of myself I'd never acknowledged before. I looked at trans women, gender, fluid people, femme-presenting men. I wasn't looking for May specifically, but I was looking for that feeling she'd given me, that sense of possibility, of breaking out of the narrow box I'd built for myself. 3 months after my confession, Emma asked if I'd ever thought about proposing. We were having dinner. Things had been good between us lately, and I think she thought we were past the worst of it. Eventually, I said, non-committal. Eventually, like next year, or eventually like someday. Maybe, if you ever figure your shit out. Her tone was sharp, frustrated. I couldn't blame her. I don't know, Emma. I'm sorry. I just don't know. She put down her fork and looked at me with this expression of complete understanding mixed with resignation. You are not in love with me anymore, are you? I wanted to argue to tell her she was wrong, but I couldn't because she was right. Chapter 5. We broke up 2 weeks later. It was as amicable as these things can be, she cried. I cried. We both acknowledged that we'd had something good once, but that it was over now. She asked me if there was someone else, one last time, and I told her the truth. There wasn't. There was just me trying to figure myself out. The boys were confused. Chris called me an idiot for letting Emma go. She forgave you for Thailand, mate. Girls like that don't come around every day. I didn't tell him that Thailand was exactly the problem. Tom, though, he knew. He pulled me aside at the pub one night and asked, "Is this about that night? About May?" "It is about a lot of things," I said. "But yeah, partly. So what, you are gay now?" "I don't think so. I am not attracted to men, but I am attracted to femininity in all its forms, I guess. I am still figuring it out." He didn't really get it, but he nodded anyway. "Fair enough, mate. Life's too short to pretend to be someone you are not." I started seeing a therapist, not because I thought there was anything wrong with me, but because I needed help untangling everything. She was brilliant, actually. She helped me understand that sexuality is fluid, that attraction is complicated, that one experience doesn't have to define you, but it can also be a doorway to understanding yourself better. I went on dates, with women mostly, but also with people who didn't fit neatly into categories. I was honest from the start about where I was in my journey, about the fact that I was still figuring things out. Some people got it, some didn't. That was okay. 6 months after Emma and I broke up, I saw her Instagram post. She was dating someone new. Some guy who looked like he'd stepped out of a catalogue. They looked happy. I felt genuinely glad for her. She deserved someone who could give her everything, who wasn't carrying around confusion and secrets. I never tried to contact May. Part of me wanted to tell her that she'd changed my life, wanted to thank her or apologise or just understand her better. But I realised that wasn't fair to her. She'd just been living her life that night. I was the one who'd made it into something bigger. I think about that night a lot though, not with shame anymore, but with something like gratitude. It shook me out of this autopilot life I'd been living, forced me to question things I'd never questioned before. It hurt people, and I'll always carry that guilt, but it also freed me in a weird way. These days, I am more honest, with myself, with the people I date, with the boys when they ask what is going on with me. I don't have all the answers. I don't know exactly what label fits me, or if I even need one, but I know I am not the same person who got on that plane to Bangkok. Sometimes late at night, I wonder what would have happened if I'd realised the truth before we'd gone back to May's apartment. Would I have still gone? Would I have missed out on this whole journey of self-discovery? I don't know. Maybe some things happen exactly the way they're meant to. I saw Chris last week. He is engaged now, happy, settled. He asked me if I regretted Thailand, if I wished we'd never gone. I thought about it for a minute, really thought about it. No, I told him, I don't regret it at all. He looked confused, but he let it drop. How could I explain that the worst mistake of my life had also been the best thing that ever happened to me? That destroying my relationship with Emma, hurting someone I cared about, had also set me free to become who I actually am. I am dating someone now. They're incredible, gender, fluid, understanding, patient with all my baggage. We met at a queer coffee shop I never would have set foot in before Thailand. They know my whole story. They don't judge me for it. They actually think it is kind of beautiful, in a messy, complicated way. I still think about Emma sometimes. I hope she is happy. I hope she found someone who can give her the uncomplicated love she deserves. I hope she doesn't hate me, though I'd understand if she did. And I think about May. I wonder if she remembers me, if I was just one of many confused tourists who wandered into her life and then out again. I hope she is living her best life, confident and beautiful and unbothered by whatever confusion she left in her wake. As for me, I am still figuring things out, but I am figuring them out honestly now, not hiding behind the life I thought I was supposed to want. Thailand taught me that sometimes you have to blow up your life to build a better one. Sometimes the person you think you are isn't the person you actually are. Would I tell my girlfriend from 3 years ago that I slept with a ladyboy in Thailand? Number because by the time I figured out how to have that conversation, we weren't together anymore. The secret ate our relationship from the inside out until there was nothing left to save. But maybe that is okay. Maybe some secrets are too heavy to carry inside a relationship, too transformative to share with someone who knew you before. Maybe sometimes you have to let go of who you were to become who you are meant to be. I don't have all the answers. I am still Jake, still figuring it out, still carrying the weight of the hurt I caused, but I am also free now, in a way I never was before. And that is worth something. That is worth everything.